What happened to 21-year-old college student Chris Jenkins on Halloween night in 2002? Welcome to Ontario Cold Cases, Canada's true crime podcast, World Cold Case Thursdays. I'm your host, Jay Nickel of Nickel Investigations. 21-year-old college student Chris Jenkins vanished on Halloween night 2002 after leaving a bar. 4 months later, his body was found in the Mississippi River. In the heart of Minneapolis, on a chilly Halloween night in 2002, the mysterious disappearance of 21-year-old Chris Jenkins sent shockwaves through the community. What began as a night of celebration at a local bar took a sinister turn when Chris vanished without a trace, only to have his lifeless body discovered in the Mississippi River 4 months later. Initially ruled as an accidental drowning, the case left many questions unanswered. Over 2 decades later, a new investigative light shines on this mystery. Was this a tragic accident, or something far more sinister? Let's take a closer look at the events leading up to Chris Jenkins' disappearance, the investigation, and the unsettling theories that still linger to this day. The mysterious disappearance of Chris Jenkins. On the fateful Halloween night of October 31st, 2002, Chris Jenkins, a 21-year-old university student and Eden Prairie High School graduate, joined the festivities with friends. They celebrated at the Lone Tree Bar in Minneapolis, Chris donning an American Indian costume. Reports suggested Chris got into an altercation with someone inside the bar. Shortly after, he was kicked out without his coat, phone, or wallet. This was the last known sighting of him. The seemingly ordinary night would soon give way to an enduring mystery. This is where things get murky. Witnesses last saw Chris around midnight as he left the bar and began walking away, possibly looking for a way home. That was the last confirmed sighting of him alive. The days following, a massive search effort was launched. Friends, family, and volunteers combed through the area, posting flyers and checking every corner of downtown Minneapolis. Police got involved quickly too. There were no leads, no witnesses, no camera footage, nothing. 4 long months passed before any answers would emerge regarding Chris Jenkins' disappearance. February 2003, the discovery of his lifeless body in the frigid waters of the Mississippi River sent shockwaves through the community. The Hennepin County Medical Examiner's Office determined that Chris had died of drowning, but the circumstances surrounding his death remain unanswered. Authorities initially closed the case, attributing it to an apparent accidental drowning. As the years passed, doubts about this conclusion emerged. Family, however, refused to accept this explanation. They felt something was off, deeply off. As time went on, disturbing details began to emerge. The most puzzling aspect: Chris's body was found with his arms crossed across his chest, a position that seemed unnatural for someone who supposedly drowned. It wasn't the typical posture you'd expect from a drowning victim. Family also pointed out that his shoes were still in his feet and showed no signs of mud or wear, which would be expected if he had walked or fallen into the river on his own. Devastated by the loss of their son, Chris's parents, Jan and Steve Jenkins, embarked on a relentless quest for answers. Unsatisfied with the official explanation of accidental drowning, they tried to unravel the truth behind their son's tragic end. Their determination led them to hire private investigators, engage renowned bloodhounds, and conduct an independent inquiry, all in pursuit of justice for Chris. Their unwavering commitment to finding the real story behind his disappearance and death ignited a flame would burn for years. As the initial investigation left many questions unanswered, Jenkins' family's relentless pursuit of justice would eventually yield unforeseen developments. The reopening of the case, new revelations, and the reconciliation with the Minneapolis Police Department would reshape the narrative surrounding Chris Jenkins' baffling disappearance and death, setting the stage for a renewed investigation into this enduring mystery. Up next, breaking homicide and new light on the case. Breaking homicide and new light on the case. The story of Chris Jenkins' mysterious disappearance took an unexpected turn with the arrival of the television show Breaking Homicide. The show, airing an investigation discovery, featured former Rhode Island police detective Derek Lavasseur and forensic pathologist Chris Mohandi, who specialized in investigating cold case murders. The episode Secrets of the River delved into the circumstances surrounding Chris's case, shedding new light on the investigation. The show's premise involved re-examining original clues and pursuing new leads to potentially solve cold cases, offering a fresh perspective on the case that stumped authorities for years. The turning point came when an incarcerated individual, described as either a suspect or an eyewitness, stepped forward with information that rekindled hope for justice in Chris Jenkins' case. According to police sources, this person claimed that Chris had fallen victim to an attempted robbery that had escalated tragically. Allegedly, Chris, intoxicated and clad in an American Indian costume, was accosted on the Hennepin Avenue Bridge's pedestrian walkway on the night of his disappearance. This inmate's shocking revelation suggested that Chris was thrown over the bridge railing into the Mississippi River, marking a significant shift from the initial theory of accidental drowning. Revelation prompted authorities to reclassify the case as a homicide investigation, sparking new momentum and pursuing the truth. The Minneapolis Police Department, after years of strained relations with the Jenkins family, made a remarkable move by reopening the investigation and reclassifying Chris Jenkins' death as a homicide. In a news conference, Police Chief Timothy Dolan apologized to the Jenkins family for the department's earlier assumptions and inaction, acknowledging that they had made a mistake. This gesture of remorse and acknowledgement of errors in the initial investigation marked a significant step toward reconciliation with the grieving family. Jan and Steve Jenkins, who had long felt that authorities had not done enough to solve their son's case, have accepted the apology. This newfound collaboration between law enforcement and the Jenkins family signified a renewed commitment to uncover the truth and bring closure to a case that had haunted them for over a decade. The reopening of the case and the inmate's revelation set the stage for a determined effort to solve the mystery surrounding Chris Jenkins' disappearance and death. It offered renewed hope for justice and closure to a family that endured years of uncertainty and heartache. Up next, unraveling the mystery. Unraveling the mystery. The inmate's revelation that Chris Jenkins may have fallen victim to an attempted robbery on that fateful Halloween night introduced a compelling and sinister twist to the case. According to the informant, intoxicated and vulnerable, Chris became a target for muggers on the pedestrian walkway of the Hennepin Avenue Bridge. Apparently frustrated by Chris having nothing of value, assailants resorted to a shocking act, flinging him over the bridge's railing into the icy waters below. This theory diverged sharply from the original belief of accidental drowning, painting a starkly different picture of Chris's final moments. It raised critical questions about the events leading up to his disappearance and the motivations behind the act, giving investigators a new path to follow. To uncover the truth behind the attempted robbery theory, investigators focused their efforts on the Hennepin Avenue Bridge's pedestrian walkway, where the alleged crime occurred. Revisiting the scene years after the fact presented numerous challenges, including fading memories of potential witnesses, changing physical conditions. However, modern forensic techniques and investigative expertise allowed authorities to re-examine the area for any overlooked evidence. They sought to piece together the events that led to Chris Jenkins' disappearance and subsequent death. The meticulous process involved combing through surveillance footage, interviewing potential witnesses, and reconstructing the events of that Halloween night. Transitioning from the initial classification of accidental drowning to a homicide investigation brought its own set of challenges. The compelling homicide case demanded substantial evidence, including witness testimonies, physical evidence, and a motive for the crime. The inmate's confession, while significant, had to be thoroughly vetted to ensure its credibility and corroborated with tangible evidence. Additionally, the passage of time presented hurdles in collecting fresh evidence and locating potential witnesses. Investigators grappled with whether the inmate's revelation was a genuine confession or a play to secure a more favorable outcome in his unrelated case. The delicate balance of justice weighed on their shoulders as they sought to bring closure to the Jenkins family. The attempt to unravel the mystery behind Chris Jenkins' disappearance and the subsequent revelations underscore the complexities of homicide investigations. It demonstrated law enforcement's resilience and Jenkins' family's unwavering determination to seek justice for their beloved son, even in the face of daunting challenges. Up next, connections and unsolved mysteries. Connections and unsolved mysteries. Several theories have emerged over the years, but none have provided clear answers. Chris Jenkins' case was not an isolated incident. It shared unsettling similarities with other cases involving college-age students who disappeared after nights of drinking, some of whom were found dead in nearby rivers. The police even received inquiries from other agencies about possible connections between these cases. One theory is that Chris was a victim of foul play. Some have speculated that the altercation at the bar may have led to someone targeting him after he was kicked out. Others have pointed fingers at the infamous smiley face killer theory, a controversial and largely unproven hypothesis that suggests a network of serial killers were responsible for the drownings of dozens of young men in the Midwest, with graffiti smiley faces left near the crime scenes. Supporters of this theory argue that Chris's case fits the profile. College-age man out drinking who disappeared near a body of water. But despite extensive investigation into this possibility, no definitive links have been made. Another theory is that Chris may have accidentally fallen into the river after wandering around, disoriented and cold. However, this seems increasingly unlikely given the condition of his body and the fact that the police later reclassified the case as a homicide. Could Chris have been abducted that night and his body dumped in the river months later? Some believe this is a more plausible explanation, especially considering the odd conditions of his remains. The case of Chris Jenkins has left behind more questions than answers. And despite years of investigation, no one has ever been arrested or charged in connection with his death. Chris's family continues to seek justice, hoping that someone, somewhere, might hold the key to unlocking the mystery. As we know, time often brings new information, new witnesses, or even new breakthroughs in cold cases. But for now, the disappearance and death of Chris Jenkins remains unsolved. An open wound for the Minneapolis community, most importantly, his loved ones. If you or anyone you know has information related to this case, we encourage you to reach out to local authorities. Even the smallest detail could help piece together the puzzle of what really happened to Chris on that fateful Halloween night. Thank you for joining me in this chilling journey into this macabre story. If you enjoyed this episode of Ontario Cold Cases, Canada's True Crime Podcast, be sure to subscribe and leave a review wherever you get your podcasts.